Hello, welcome back to Just for Today. I'm Jamal Normie, and today, if you allow me, I'd like to explain. We did a video about what to do before a relationship. It got me thinking and talking with people. It's funny that, before you click out the video, before you click out the video, I'd like you just to listen for a minute. It got me thinking because, first of all, it's funny that nobody comments on the YouTube video. Everybody comments on separate places so they don't get to see what other people are saying and things like that, whether it's text, IM, Facebook, places where it's posted. There's like threads, but they're not where everybody can see each other's comments. So I ask that you do the comments on the YouTube video, but at any rate, it's funny, like I'm thinking about at least the three people that messaged in some sort of fashion, and I disagree with what you're saying, or I think you should have to live with each other, and things like that. And then I don't think people are understanding what I'm saying is what the issue was. And it's funny though that each one of these people that messaged, they all have things in common. None of them, two of them grew up in some sort of religious house, whether it's Christian or other things and things like that. None of them were addicted to drugs. None of them have really been, and none of them gone to prison, jail, things like that. None of them lived on the streets. None of them had really any issues. None of them have kids, and none of them were in a relationship working towards marriage. Like they're all dating and doing the same sort of thing over and over. Some of them move around, and then it must be the area where I'm living at. Everybody's doing this, and then I move over here, and the same thing happens. And that's what I'm trying to help. It's like when they're asking or saying, I disagree. I kind of want to be like, why? It's hard to, of course, to talk over messages and things like that, but it's like, so why do you disagree? Like even Miranda was disagreeing to an extent because she thinks you have to live with somebody in order to really know them. But do you guys know I don't think people really know what dating is, first of all. So dating is getting to know somebody. Like whether it's one person made a comment about moldy dishes around the house, someone made a comment about pet peeves and things like that, and having to know somebody before. So that's the issue, is when people fall into to get in these situations, and now you're living with somebody for years, months, whatever, wasting all this time for what? It's for heartbreak. A lot of times these relationships are ending up bad. Occasionally they're good if they're at least people with good heads on their shoulders, but most of the time they're not. Kids, this is why Miranda has 2 kids. It's not, and I'm not downing any of these people or saying that shame on you for this happening. It's just, it can be avoided, and that's the whole point. And especially when you bring up church, and then people just go off on that sometimes. They just, I ain't listening to anything else. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to go through. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. But sometimes I'm just saying, stop and ask yourself why. Why do you have such a problem with church? Who hurt you? What really is it? And then once you really start thinking about it and actually researching, you'll probably see that the reasoning that happened is false. It shouldn't be something that you should be feeling, because it's probably based on some specific person, group of people, whatever the case is. But that's not as what it's supposed to be, as far as what I'm concerned about, because church isn't a judgmental place. It's not some place where you go to get hurt and things like that. It might be a place, if you're sinning, or doing something wrong, where it might be brought to your attention, it make you think, learn. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is help you to learn, because I wasn't always perfect myself. Now it's different, but before, I was somebody that I didn't want to go to church. Like, I grew up in church, and I never listened. I slept, I refused, I fought, and everything else to not go to church. Like, maybe if I'm sleeping, like they'll just let me sleep. They won't wake me up because we got to go back to church. You know, we had church in the morning, and then you have Bible study, church, Sunday school, blah blah blah. You come home, you probably eat, and you gotta go back to church, right? You know, you go home, and then I'll just sit there with my eyes closed, hoping my dad would just be like, you know what, he's sleeping, he ain't gonna go to church. You know what happened? He woke me up and brought us to church. So it's like, so I was always in church, and then here I am giving my money, like, this is what's going on up here. Here I am giving my money to church, to pass my pastor and things like that. And I'm over here like, why am I giving him his money? He's driving this BMW or Lexus, and I ain't got a vehicle. I'm trying to save up to get a vehicle. I'm trying to save up to do my own thing, you know. So it was me that, if looking back, it was me, and it's just this fog that's over people that I swear now my way of thinking, it's like this fog's gone. It's so bright, clear, and understand. Like, I didn't know it wasn't clear before. I didn't know that I was in this darkness, but my hope is by me explaining, or us going over some of the things that we've gone through, will click for you. Like, you need to change the way you think in order to understand things sometimes, you know. God, you know, understanding what's going on with God or anything. It's like a radio. You ever get out of or a cell phone and somebody doesn't have good coverage? You know, it's you know, that sort of thing. That's what it is. So now it's like we got good signal strength, you know, we got full bars, and I can understand now. I can understand what's going on with him. I can understand the world, you know. I have good signal now. You don't have good signal. You don't know you don't have good signal until you know what signal is. So I'm just trying to explain. So just let me explain it, you know. Let me explain. So in dating, you got to know what time you're in, of course. Like, before, yeah, you couldn't do anything with the other person at all, like, as far as we're probably never allowed to go to their house or whatever. But to me, dating is so, you know, probably as things progress, at first you're probably going to go out, go places, go eat, go to movies and things like that, in group settings and things like that, and get to know the person before you even think about that, you know. And then as time progresses, then you kick it up a notch, maybe go to more expensive places, different sceneries. First, before that, you know, you should be making sure you have that same path, right? Like, are you in church? Am I in church? You know, what your likes, dislikes, all that sort of stuff should be happening. And I promise you, if you're doing it correctly, a lot of this stuff will come through gradually. Miranda was saying how she didn't think you would know things about children. Well, the thing is, you're going to have pet peeves. There's going to be things you're going to find out about this person that you never knew, right? Those should be minor in comparison, because it's like, nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to have some sort of issue. Like, but they should not be deal breakers. Marriage, people don't understand what marriage is. I'm not saying jump into marriage. I'm saying give it time before you get to it, but you shouldn't have to live with somebody for that to happen. Marriage is sacred and something that should not be broken and shouldn't be taken lightly. Like, you shouldn't be just jumping into marriage because you had a kid. You shouldn't be just jumping into marriage because you think somebody's attractive. You know, you shouldn't be just living with somebody because of these things either. You know, if you're dating and then towards the end of it, like, hey, you know, so if me and Miranda would have done it correctly, we didn't do it correctly because of the situation. But if we would have done it correctly, I would have known about, you know, she would have known, we would have had talks about kids. You should have talks about what things are important to you, you know, your goals, kids, or what do you feel, how you feel about raising them, if you do want them, you know, are they going to, what religion they're in, like, all this stuff should be things you're talking about. That's what dating is. And at some point in this dating process, I'm sure you'd go, like, for me, I'm a cook. So I'm sure I would have her and her kids come over and cook, and I would see how she's raising her kids, and so we'd have conversations about that prior to marriage. No reason to living together. Movie nights, this is what it is. We would have that conversation prior to marriage. If I do have moldy bowls, someone said, sitting around someplace, or I got clutters, or I'm messy, you coming over, you should be seeing this. Yeah, sure, I could be cleaning it up and everything, but you should, there should be a reason that you should be talking about that, though. It's not, and it shouldn't be a rule breaker, because realistically, if you're with somebody and you're on the same page, you should know that they value your opinion. And if it is something that's like, oh, I'm messy all the time, then they should want to work towards fixing that, unless there's some sort of reason. Like that's what marriage is. Marriage isn't just, I have this list of things, nope, and we're gonna break up. Like, oh, you're not marriage material because of all these things. No, a lot of this stuff should be stuff that should be discussed and figured out after, whether it's after you're married or while you're dating. I mean, you're not gonna find 100% find everything out. And again, though, at least 2 of these people were in church, right? People don't know and understand. Like, I'm a guy of science also, so if I can't see it, feel it, smell it, touch it, like it's not real. And so, like, there's a logical science, science, right? So of course you don't see God, but in the sense of what I perceived before. Now I think differently. But then he really shows up in the way that things happen. Like at some point, science is not explaining some of the stuff that happens, right? Like how I get in, an accident and survive it. You know what I'm saying? Like how Miranda could go overnight and get out of addiction. Like, that's huge. Like, that's not easy, whether it's rock bottom thing, and then you look at the tapestry and the steps that took place to get to that point. It's like, it's impossible that this could happen any scientifically way that the pavement was paved right in front of my feet. Like, this is the only way I would have got back in church, is to help save somebody else. The only way that she would have gotten church is by what happened with me, with me being in her life to get her to church. Me being raised all the way back from me being a kid, which engraved it into my mind that I knew what to do when it needed to be done, that I ignored for the majority of my life for it to happen. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. So, like, when I was a kid, I had friends. I hung out with everybody. But how do you explain me and my friends going down to this one guy, 2 people that were really not great people. One of them one day had, I don't know if it was a crowbar or if it was brass knuckles. It was something. And then he's like, look at this, I'm cool, blah, blah, blah. And then beat up this, we were walking, and then he beat up this kid for no reason. My other friend jumped in, and they're just beating on the kid. I'm just standing there. I'm not stopping it, but I'm not joining in, right? And they're just beating him up. So that happens. We go along our own way, leaving him hip. That's poor kid. Yeah, he was able to walk and everything else, but he goes home. He runs off the opposite way. We go about our business, and then within a couple days, a week, I can't remember exactly. This kid shows up with like not 15, a good 7 other people, and we're all out in the streets, hanging out, and then they jump. The other 2 guys that were with me, jumped them, and I'm just standing there. It was like I was invisible. How does that happen? There's no scientific reason for that, right? Like you can sit up here and say whatever, but there's no scientific reason. There's no scientific reason why I am alive, like from the start. Like if you guys only knew. And there's no scientific reason for when you go to church and just that hug feeling that you get when everything gets released. Like you can't explain it until you've witnessed, until you've been in it. There's so much to it, and I know this is like why I didn't drop friends, but I kind of moved away from things, because it's like when people don't understand something, you get stuck in your own way. Like I was like that. Like I would see people post stuff back when I'm in my fog, and like this one guy, I remember he used to go out with us, and then one day he was talking about church stuff, and I'm just ignoring him. I'm just like, what is that? What is that about? I don't know what that's, whatever, Oh, so now he's just going to church, and just, posting stuff, and I didn't get it. And I'm hoping to help you guys save time. So much of us, that like there's no end game, there's no goal. We're just living life to get to the next thing. Like there's no goal, there's no ending. What do you date for? You should be dating in order to marry somebody, not just so you could have somebody around you, so you could eventually get heartbroken, so you could eventually get hurt, so you could eventually do something stupid. Like people get emotional, you try to, I don't feel the same anymore because of X, Y, and Z, which you should have known before, and then people are killing each other over stuff like this, hurting each other. Why? So I'm hoping that by explaining it, you would step out of yourself for a second to think about what I'm saying and if it makes any sense. Not to go, wait, no, I disagree. I think I should be living with somebody. Like, why? Stop and say why. People need to ask themselves why more often instead of just doing stuff, instead of just feeling, instead of just jumping in. Like, think about it, and that's what I want to explain. There's no judgment. It's not about judgment. It's not about being right, wrong, or anything, because you can do it and not be in church and everything else. But certainly it gives a foundation to make it easier. Like people have to worry about cheating and all this nonsense. You don't have to worry about that if you're both going to church and on that same path. People are worried about what to do with finances and things like that. You don't have to worry about that if you're in church and you learn about finances. Like, it's all in the Bible, and until you've taken the time to read it, you can't really judge it based on what you're feeling. We have to do better. We have to learn. Nobody learns. Everybody just says and does. And that's what I was there. I could sit here for hours and talk about the nonsense that I've done and been in. Here I am in my later 30s, and it's like, well, what do I have to show for it? What do you have to show for it? Let me know in a comment below. What do you have to show for it? If you think that you do need to live with somebody to properly understand where they're coming from, like, first just think about it. Why do you really need to? How can you everything that someone has said, they would have known by dating correctly. No one's dated correctly, so they don't understand what it is. I think really they just don't understand what dating is supposed to be. It's more than you really need to it's really getting to know somebody. And then, like I said though, you are going to have pet peeves. You're going to grow together. You're going to figure things out, and there's going to be things that are going to go bad, but that's part of marriage. Marriage is hard. It's not easy. It's not instant. It's something that takes time and work and dedication. And you have to be able to want to put in that time and effort. Anything you put time and effort into, you're going to feel so much better about. But if you are in love with somebody, not in lust, in love, like you truly love them more than anything, first of all, you're going to want to do everything you can to make sure that they're happy. Second of all, there's going to be an understanding because you know each other. Third of all, the stuff that happens, like you're going to figure it out together. I wouldn't know that you snored. Okay, is that enough you're saying that justifies not marrying somebody because they snore? I mean, maybe, but if that is the case, then you're probably going to be lonely for a long time because people have different things like that. Like, not just necessarily snoring, but people have things. And that's why, again, you need to work on yourself before you're getting married. When you're single, you need to be working on yourself, understanding what your pet peeves are. Like, have a roommate. That's what I'm saying. Have a roommate. We had roommates when we were a kid, when we were younger. Some people like it hot, some people like it cold. You know, you'll learn some of these things. You'll learn about how you are with other people and how they are with you, and you'll learn pet peeves, because if you don't know some things, you won't know until you try to experience something, and that's a safe way to experience it, right? Me cooking and not like having people around me when I'm cooking, you would know that because I would have had you over, I would have went over and I would have told you this. You know, I don't like people around me cooking when I'm cooking. Like, get out of the kitchen. You think that you wouldn't know that, but you would if you really think about it, not feel about it, think about it. You would have. I guarantee most of these things that people are saying know about, you would know, because you would date properly. You know, it's a different time. It's harder and everything else. But if you want it to last, then that's what it is. You know, one of my really good friends is moving around a lot. And she's also one of the people that made a comment, and it's like she's always looking for you know, something different, you know, something better. Like I know, and then one of the people I work with, same sort of way. She's from Oregon, moves around every couple years because she's like, I'm surrounded by blah, blah, blah. Surround yourself with like-minded people. That's the issue. And church people, real church people, not people that just say and do, you know, not people that just say one way and act another. Like, those are the type of people you want to be around. You know, they have their head on their shoulders. They have a good moral compass, you know, and things like that. From my experience, you know, of course, there's the you know, the bad apples. Everything has a bad apple. I don't care, cops, teachers, everything. You're gonna find something bad somewhere if you look hard enough. It's just sometimes you have to stop and ask, why is this happening? And you might not understand, and that's what these videos are for, though, you guys. It's to help. It's to realize, hopefully to spark something in your brain and not have to have gone through it. You don't want you to be 50, you know, you've been dating and nothing to show for it. You know, it's because you're not doing it right. You know, I'm not saying it to be negative. I'm saying it to hopefully shake some sense in. Like, I wish that it could happen to me. The thing is, though, when I was in it and I was in that fog, you couldn't get me out of it, because from better or worse, stubborn. Like, it's hard to get me to move. Like, I've never done you never wanted to do drugs ever, or this and that, and you know, all through whatever, not doing them. So that's stubborn, but at the same time, it's hard to get me to change. It was always hard for me to get my mind changed on something. But again, though, if you date correctly, you're truly in love. A lot of people don't know what love is. You're truly in love. The other person's should be thinking about you as much as you're thinking about them. And I guarantee all these little pet peeves you can work through. You don't need to live with somebody. That's what I'm saying. And these are all steps to help. You know, you can do what you will. I'm not saying, you know, I'm just a guy on the other side of a camera. But if you're following those steps, like, it should be easier. That's the point. Easier. And then, you know, and not to waste time, and to be less hurt. And then it branches out so much. Like, if you're not happy at home, how are you gonna be happy at work? How are you gonna be happy with your friends and all this stuff? Like, you're just gonna be looking to fill this void. Like, and it all starts with you and how you handle yourself, and then everything else comes after, right? Like, so you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking? What are you doing? You know? I just want to clear that up, because I think there were some misconceptions, and I think the person one of the people thought probably I was upset. I'm not upset, you guys. I'm not upset at anybody. I was in a rush, and I just responded, and I didn't really think about my response. But don't stop. that's all the time I have for just for today. Leave me a comment below. Does this make more sense now? Does it still not make sense to you? If it doesn't make any sense to you on the YouTube, let me know what doesn't make sense so I can think about it too. You know, sometimes there's things I don't think about. You know, I'm human. But let me know your perspective on it, and like truly think about it. Don't just say stuff just to say stuff. Like truly think about it. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Hit the notification bell. Most importantly, though, remember to keep coming back and always stay clean. Bye.